Okay, so I had somebody reach out to me. They said that they were confused about one of the homework problems. In this homework problem, um, you have to integrate the absolute value function here. So I wanted to do a review about how to go about doing that. And so I'm going to start with, defining the absolute value function, just so we all see it. We should have all seen it before. The absolute value function, so you'll remember, looks like this. So this is the absolute value of x. And I'm going to do two different colors in this UI in a second. So draw straight today. That'll work. And here we go. So the absolute value function looks like this. So you'll remember from Calc 1, it's a function that has this cusp, this corner at x equals 0. It's not differentiable there. And if you just take a look at this, so on the left-hand side here, this red line is the line y equals negative x. And this blue line on the right here is just the line y equals x. And that kind of gives us the way to define the absolute value of x. So the absolute value of x is negative x if x is less than 0, and it's x if x is greater than 0. So the way to think about this is, we know what the absolute value function does. The absolute value function makes everything positive. So the question becomes, if I have something, so if x is less than 0, I have something negative. And how do I make something negative positive? Well, if I just stick a minus sign in front of something negative, then the two minus signs cancel out and they become positive. So that's why I get a negative x here. And if x is greater than 0, then I don't have to do anything. I can just spit the number back out, and it's positive. So the question becomes, how do I integrate this? So it's just like, so I did a couple examples when I was doing areas between curves, where the top or bottom function changed, and I had to split up my integral. And we're going to use the same idea here. So you can see at x equals 0, my function changes from negative x to x. So what I can do to integrate this is just integrate over the region where it's negative x. So I'm going to split it up into the integral from 0 to 3, and the integral from negative 3 to 0, and the integral from 0 to 3. And between negative 3 and 0, we're on this side of the graph. So the absolute value of x is going to be minus x. And between 0 and 3, we're on the right side of the graph. So the absolute value is just x. Now you can do this integral. So this is negative x squared over 2, negative 3, 0, plus x squared over 2, 0 to 3, and this becomes 9/2 plus 9/2, which is 9 here. And that's how you do that integral. So for the homework problem, though, we're asked to find the area between these two curves. I'm going to change the problem up a little bit, just so I'm not doing the exact homework problem for you guys. It'll be the same idea. So I have y equals the absolute value of 6x. I'm going to do y is equal to 7 minus x squared. So what this is going to look like in a graph. So the absolute value function doesn't change much. Its slope changes. It's going to look something like that, and 7 minus x squared. It's going to look something like that. And let's say we want to find, this area in here. So what we need to do is we need to figure out our bounds of integration. I'm not going to work this problem fully out because I want you guys to do it on your own. But the idea is, to figure those out, I'm going to want to figure out where are these points of intersection right here. So the way I'm going to do that is, so the way we typically do that is we set, the two functions equal to each other. But the problem is, if you look at the left and right point here, there are two different functions there. So for the left bound of integration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 7 minus x squared, and the absolute value of 6x on the left-hand side here because we're on the negative region, it's going to be minus 6x. And for the right bound, I'm going to do 7 minus x squared is equal to, and then on the right-hand side, absolute value of 6x just stays 6x. Solving those will give me my bounds, give me the bounds for my integral. I'll leave that to you guys. And the last step is, you're going to do the integral of the top minus the bottom. So that's going to be 7 minus absolute value of 6x. Sorry, copy this down correctly. 7 minus x squared minus the absolute value of 6x dx. And whatever you get for these bounds, that's what you're going to use. So I'll just write, negative a to a here, because I'm not solving that right now. Yeah, sorry, thinking. So be careful when you're solving these equations up here, the 7 minus, so these two equations. It looks like you're going to get two solutions. Just think about, whether you want a positive x or a negative x for a solution. That'll help you out. Okay. So let's continue. So what we can do now is just separate this between negative a to 0. And then between those 2 points, 7 minus x squared, and the absolute value of 6x between negative 0 or negative a and 0, I'm going to get a minus, so minus absolute value of 6x. Absolute value of 6x is negative 6x on that region. And then plus the integral from 0 to a, 7 minus x squared minus absolute value of 6x between 0 and, whatever that bound is. It can be positive 6x, then I have positive values of x. Dx here. So that's going to be how you take care of that. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I will respond to those. So